10 years ago, on the night of October 31st, a small Midwestern town fell victim to an escaped killer. Under the cover of darkness, he carried out the most horrifying mass murder on record. 16 people in cold blood. Ever since that night, no one has forgotten his name. And Halloween has never been the same.
No, that's not the opening theme to Halloween 4.
No, it was not.
But this is the opening theme to the Awful Press movie podcast retrospective. We're returning to Halloween retrospectives. We definitely didn't record this back to back with Halloween 3.
We definitely didn't waste all our energy on the Halloween 3 episode, and now we're cheaply banging this one out.
Wow. You know what? If that were true, which I will not verify if it is or not, that would go well in line with what happened to the actual franchise.
It's what happens consistently with this franchise.
Now, Michael Myers has come home. He has returned for one more night of unholy terror.
Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, not shot by legendary cinematographer Dean Cundy.
Yes.
It was shot by someone named Peter Lyons Collister, who would go on to shoot Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, and
that's why this looks so good.
And the two Garfield movies, including A Tale of Two Kitties, which I think was the last thing he shot.
Is he dead?
I think he just retired.
Okay.
Or he's not working anymore, you know?
That's the movie where they tricked Bill Murray into doing it because he thought he'd be working with the Coen brothers.
I just wanted to bring that up because I don't have a lot to say about this one, but Matt, I feel like you do.
Well, all I really have to say is this does not involve John Carpenter or Deborah Hill. This is the first film in the franchise they were not working on, but they initially did. They initially worked on a screenplay for Halloween 4. It was decided that, hey, we should bring Michael Myers back because the third one didn't do as well as they wanted. So they started working on a script with a guy named Dennis Etchison, or Dennis Etchison, whatever. He wrote the novelization for Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, and I guess Deborah Hill was impressed with his work. He's also a horror writer in his own right, and he's done some stuff. He's pretty good. And he was brought in to write a script for Halloween 4. Do you have any knowledge of this script?
No, I actually do not.
You don't? All right. Well, it was a really interesting setup, which was that because of the events of the first two Halloween films, the town of Haddonfield has banned Halloween. It is now illegal. They don't recognize it. Any celebrations from around that time, like there's still a school dance, but it's no longer the Halloween dance. It is just there's nothing supernatural can be mentioned in it. And the idea was going to be that if you try to suppress something, it ends up coming back even worse. So somehow through this repression, Michael Myers was going to get resurrected. I'm not totally sure how it would have played out. From what I understand, there's a scene where a girl goes to a pumpkin patch outside of town and starts picking pumpkins, and that's where Michael Myers appears. I'm not sure if that's where he first appears. But somehow this repression was going to bring back the spirit of Michael Myers. And all I know is that was the basic setup, and I guess it was going to end with a massacre at a drive-in, which would have been interesting. It's an interesting setup, and apparently Mustafa Akkad thought it was too cerebral. He didn't think that he thought it was too heavy on the ideas. Not really a good scary film. And they wanted Joe Dante to direct it. I don't know if they ever reached out to him, but that was who they intended to get to direct it. But at this point, the franchise, when Mustafa Akkad was having problems with the script, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill decided, we're done with this. They sold their stake in the franchise, and this script was not a part of that. So they decided to go in a completely different direction.
That's too bad.
Uh,
It sounds like a really interesting idea.
It is, and I think honestly, I think that's maybe a good one that they could do now. I think you could maybe do a Halloween 4 like that right now. But yeah, it would have been interesting, but they didn't go with that. Instead, they decided to go with a film which is about uh, the daughter of Jamie Lee Curtis's character, the daughter of Laurie Strode, uh, being the new target of Michael Myers.
Yeah,
Which, for what it is, it's a setup.
it definitely is. I think writing out a character like Laurie Strode, who has a pretty big fan base, I'd argue, to make that work, you got to build it on like some really heavy story beats or like something that really resonates with people, something that with real thematic weight to it, and not just like franchise longevity. Unfortunately, that is exactly what this move is.
Well, it really is about that Jamie Lee Curtis won't come back, and they have to stick to this formula of Michael Myers hunting down his family, which was only set up in the second one. So because of that conceit, they had to do this. So uh,
It's just so funny and crazy to me to like imagine John Carpenter pumping out the Halloween 2 script like, oh, you'll make you fucking Halloween 2, your fucking Halloween 2. Don't make you any more sequels with Michael Myers. Fucking
yeah, it's like an attempt to sabotage it, but that doesn't stop them.
as God is their witness. It's fucking unbelievable.
His new target is Jamie Lloyd, played by Danielle Harris, who I'm sure you recognize.
Last Boy Scout, baby. Hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she's been in a ton of shit.
This was like 4 years before that, and she looks the same.
Yeah. Well, little kids, they age differently, I guess. Um, and she was, I believe, the sister on the Wild Thornberries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was the older sister.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. I remember liking that show.
yeah. Fucking Tim Curry, man.
All those things we just talked about are far more interesting than Halloween 4.
Yeah, this is not a super interesting film. Uh, it's a pretty solid run-of-the-mill slasher film.
Things happen.
It has a beginning, middle, and end, and it is 90 minutes.
Oh, no, it's shorter than 90 minutes. It's like 82 minutes.
Oh, really?
Because there's not nearly enough going on here.
Mine says 88 minutes.
Oh, okay, well.
I'm still a good chunk of that are credits. Um, yeah, there's not a ton to talk about with this one. But it does start the franchise off in a new direction that we will follow through the next three films. These three, Halloween 4, 5, and 6, are all kind of related in a weird way.
I've heard it referred to as the Loomis trilogy. It's kind of a neat way to put it.
It should be the Jamie Lloyd trilogy, but they didn't bring her back for the sixth one. Well, they did, but we'll get to that. Yeah, I mean, although the thing that I think, Jamie Lloyd is the thing about this movie that really works. Like, she's a really sympathetic character. And to suddenly make your slasher franchise the main character a child, I think is a really interesting choice. I don't know. I find this one like kind of endearing. It's not like there's not a lot of specialness to it. It's not lighting the world on fire. It's pretty safe, but it's kind of an enjoyable film. I mean, it was always the one of the sequels when I was younger. It was the one I liked watching the most.
I could see that. I liked it about as much as I like Halloween 2.
I like this a lot more than two. But two does have like Dean Cundy like cinematography on its side though.
Yeah.
So, which as an adult I appreciate a lot more.
It's overlit as fuck. And it's just
Yeah.
flat. You see a lot of like horror movies nowadays look like this.
It doesn't help that when they were making the Michael Myers mask, at some point someone fucked up at some point,
Oh, did they?
and they made like a pink Michael Myers mask with blonde hair, I believe. And if you watch the movie, there's actually like one scene where that mask makes it into the movie.
Am I gonna have to go back rewatch it and find this mask?
It's the scene with Loomis in the school, like right before I think Loomis like knocks him out a window. It's like right before that.
Oh, that's wonderful. I like this movie now.
And I listened to an interview with the director, and he was like, like someone must have asked him, but he's like, I think the reason that's in there is because one of us just wasn't paying attention. So we had such a little amount of time to shoot the film, and it was so late at night that someone just grabbed the wrong mask and no one caught it. So imagine an entire film crew not realizing or not feeling brave enough to mention to someone that you have the wrong mask on. Because that's also late in the production. It wasn't like this was like the first day of shooting and then they realized they had the pink mask. This was a problem that happened on day one, and they had to go back and rework the masks they had. That's why it's so bright white, because they just painted over this pink. And that's why the mask has such a weird look in this one.
It looks like he has no nose.
It's not great.
It's a very dopey looking mask.
It says something that Michael Myers looks a lot cooler when he doesn't. He just has those bandages on. I like the idea that he has been basically in a coma since Halloween 2, that the explosion kind of, he hasn't woken up since. I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of neat because like by this point, our discussion about like how this was a person at one point,
Yeah.
is gone. It's completely gone at this point. So you kind of like do have to make
Well, this is
something
where
else happen.
this is why
Something
these like
ghost-like.
middle three are always so weird, because the franchise can't decide, is Michael Myers human? Is he an idea, or is he like an actual supernatural being?
Yeah, which is why I think that story you told me about the original script for Halloween 4 is a really interesting idea because it does make him an idea, and the idea is about not confronting like a town's dark history, which could be a good metaphor for like confronting fears and like coming out the other side stronger or not coming out the other side stronger.
Yes.
A recurring thing in this franchise. But that sounds far more compelling than like he just wants to kill again.
Although we find the end of this movie totally reworks how you watch it. Uh, which it does. I
Yeah,
will say, we'll get to it, but it does have a great ending.
that's the one thing I was taken back by. That's a very good ending.
You can't really do anything with, but it's a hell of an ending.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I guess we should say. So I said Michael Myers has been in a coma since the explosion that nearly killed him and Dr. Loomis, who also apparently lived. We'll,
He has a scar on his
we'll
face.
get into him and his scars. He's back at Smith's Groves, the hospital, and this is the one where it really starts to creep in that there's something up with Smith's Grove. The way he's being treated and the way the doctor who puts him in the back of the ambulance, the way he looks at Michael Myers being taken away, hint at a bigger story going on, which has always been one that like fans have thought of, and I think might be on my mind more now for reasons. But of course, Michael Myers wakes up in the ambulance. I believe after someone around him mentions that he now has a niece, is when he finally wakes up.
I know you mentioned that the producer wanted to keep him around like he needs to be flesh and blood, he needs to be a human being.
Yes.
But he's basically supernatural by this point. So it's very funny to me that
Why
all
the,
these
the
reasons
real
were
reason is
why
that
they didn't go with the
I
original
don't even
version.
think the producer specifically wanted him to be human. He just wanted him to be understandable enough for the audience. If you do take, honestly, I think part of the reaction we're seeing to the current Halloween one is people not realizing that Michael Myers is like kind of an idea. For people, it's either or. Either he's human or he's supernatural. There's not like this third option, which is really where Michael Myers exists. And so this movie kind of decides not to take a clear stand. Tries to be agnostic on the reason Michael Myers is indestructible.
That's a good way of putting it.
Although this is the movie, I think this might be the film where Michael Myers starts beating people to death, which will become kind of a staple of the franchise.
Like the kills aren't that great either. This is where it kind of starts getting into more traditional slasher.
Well, this is where it's like a traditional slasher film, but it doesn't have the imagination of Nightmare on Elm Street, and it doesn't have the gore of Friday the 13th. It really is people making these movies who don't totally get what made the original work. Like, there's no real attempt at suspense in this film. But there is an attempt to not be horrifically violent, but then you just end up with nothing. So I will say though, there are moments of this that I really enjoy. Well, I mean, Dr. Loomis is back.
Michael! He's here to kill that little girl and anybody who gets in his way.
And I should say, he is straight up Ahab in this. We're introduced with him where you hear his cane, so you hear like the limp, which is, Ahab. That's how you only hear him walking on the decks initially. And, he's every day I look in the mirror and every day I remember. And he's seeing the scars that he left on himself in his pursuit of Michael Myers. And in this, Michael Myers is the white whale. Maybe that's why the mask is so white in this one.
Oh, well, hey.
This is just the beginning of Loomis completely losing it. And he doesn't get super crazy in this. He does kidnap a child basically at one point. This is more where he's like, we got to stop Michael Myers. I know where he's going, and just no one believing him until it's too late. Like the sheriff doesn't believe Loomis until the entire police force is killed.
Which I would have liked to have seen. This was after Terminator, so maybe that's why they were like, don't do it. But I think if they would have wanted to rip off movies, you want to rip off something as good as Terminator.
We get kind of a moment like that later where Michael Myers is on the back of the truck, which is a moment I enjoy when he's wiping out the militia.
Yeah, okay, you know what? That's kind of fun.
I do like that this drunken militia shows up, and he's like, with no police force, we're all you got. And Loomis is like, these men might be the only people who can protect Haddonfield. I mean, it really is. It is, again, like Ahab. Ahab has traveled around the world and is keeping the crazy whale hunters beneath the ship. So now, the professionals are gone. We have this militia on the loose, who basically, they all get masked. They kill an innocent person. They mow down an innocent person at one point, and then are basically all killed in the back of a pickup truck later. Which is a moment I really enjoy.
In my notes, I put rednecks to the rescue.
Yes. So. We should mention Bo Starr, who plays Sheriff Meeker, is in this, and he was Henry Hill's father in Goodfellas.
How about that? That's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's not this film.
No, it's not.
Just thought I'd bring it up. He's in this in the next one, so I thought it'd be worth mentioning. I also do kind of like Rachel Carruthers. The girl, her kind of minor story of not having sex with her boyfriend.
You hear John Carpenter talk about, like, the original film has a lot of, like, maybe criticism, even, about how, like, the one character who remains a virgin is the one that survives. And he was like, no, I just wanted to showcase that, like, the other kids were being normal. Laurie's depressed. She wasn't, like, some holy virgin that deserved to live or anything. It's just, she was going through a thing, and that's what happened. He wasn't trying to make a statement about, like, sexuality.
Well, this one, it's not really, like, it's not super anti-sex, because, like, Rachel wants to have sex with her boyfriend. It's just kind of awkward. So I think it's probably just, no one else knows how to write teenage girls. Like, there's no other part.
That's probably it.
To it. Like, she might as well.
And that's the movie.
I mean, there's not a ton.
I guess.
There's a part where Jamie Lloyd gets yelled at for being an orphan.
Kids are fucked up, but I think
I don't know. You never know. I went to a pretty good school, but then again, I was never a target of bullying, really. Like even when I was, it was always like, you're a nerd, and I'm like, well, yeah. It's like, that's not. But here they're like, yeah, you're an orphan. And they make her cry, and that kind of encourages her to go. She wants to go trick or treating. I will say, it does kind of, you don't know where this plot is going really, which is kind of the problem. But it is subtly hinting at where it's going with her, like, slowly accumulating, the clown costume.
Yeah, that's something to think on in retrospect. But there's a difference between, like, misdirection, which this movie kind of tries to tackle, and then straight up not having.
Yeah, that's
like any direction.
That's the problem. There's just not enough. I mean, really, we're kind of like there's a struggle to really talk about what happens. Like, I can talk about a girl gets a shotgun shoved through her. The boyfriend doesn't make it. Dr. Loomis kidnaps the girl at one point, kidnaps the little girl. But there really just isn't much to it. There is a preacher at one point.
Oh yeah, that was kind of silly. And
Played by a character actor you would recognize. He was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I did not recognize him.
You didn't? I don't know what the guy's name is, but he's been in a lot of stuff. Look, we gotta talk about stuff off topic, or else we're not even gonna make it to 30 minutes.
yeah, I know.
But he's in it. He's a preacher, and he does say something kind of hinting at the original, where he says, "You can't kill damnation, mister. It don't die like a man dies." Which is also, again, another Moby Dick reference, kind of about, the other ships warning Ahab about his pursuit of Moby Dick. But Ahab believing that the prophecy of his death will not be fulfilled.
Oh, can we talk about how Dr. Loomis is just like in full-on action hero mode in this one?
Oh yeah, he's like running around fighting shit. He blows up a gas station.
Yeah.
It's so weird because he's introduced as being injured and kind of, he's kind of been crippled by his previous experience. But he's also like doing action movie shit in this one that he was not doing in the previous films. And someone pointed out recently to me that it is not women that are the target of Michael Myers more in these films. It's if you're a gas station attendant. They get killed in like every one of these movies. If you're an auto mechanic, you're fucking dead.
Well, because he needs his suit to go to work.
Yeah, he needs that. He's lucky they're always blue.
Like he kills a dude who like has a beige on. And he's like, fuck.
He's like, fuck. It's the only time Michael Myers talks.
Oh, you know what I thought was kind of interesting? There was Scott Snyder's run on Batman. A little too try-hard at being dark, I think, but I really liked when the Joker returns in that story for like in this arc that reminded me of Seven, and he doesn't show up in his clown costume. He shows up in a workman's outfit because he's going back to work on Gotham City.
The problem is that someone in another comic had the Joker cut his face off, and that was really lame.
I think that was him too.
No, that wasn't Scott Snyder.
Oh, that wasn't?
It wasn't. It was someone else, because I remember that was like, because I think Scott Snyder had Batman and the other person had Detective, and it happened in Detective Comics. That was right when I bailed on DC Comics, though.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I bailed on pretty much like all comics now, and now I feel free.
It is a very freeing thing. Comics are not... Indie comics are worth money, but...
Actually, you know what? I'm full of shit, because I'm going to get the Alien 3 adaptation when it comes out.
Good for Dark Horse.
Yeah.
I'm just not that guy anymore. I can't, I wouldn't get anything out of it.
That's fair.
You gotta grow up at some point, or you're angry at women online.
You know what comics need to do?
Stop.
Well, yes.
That's my answer to everything. It's all been going on too long. Stop.
Well, yeah, stop. And then when you think you can come back for a reboot in like a decade, think again. Still stop. And then maybe in 25, 30 years, come back with like a great lineup following new continuity. Don't worry about crossovers unless there's like an artist or someone with like a really great pitch. And also don't hire fucking creeps.
Comics in general
assholes.
are just an outdated form of entertainment. It's hard to make comics as the business model that keeps it going just doesn't exist anymore. That's why indie comics are much better, but they're not giant moneymakers. But the only way for superhero comics to sustain themselves is to keep doing big crossovers.
And nobody fucking likes them anymore.
But the big problem, is diversity in comics. That's the problem. So that now women are in it. How dumb do you have to fucking be? How fucking dumb? I'm just...
Hey, Matt, come on. Let's look at both sides of the argument.
They
just
get
don't want
it.
their politics in their stories.
Stan Lee was very neoliberal centrist in his politics, but he was still very outspoken about his politics in an era where Even suggesting that black people should have equal rights was like a radical notion.
Hey, Luke
And
Cage is just a bulletproof black man. There's nothing political
that's it.
about that.
There's nothing political about a bulletproof black man in Harlem. How do you like? Just how dumb are you? I just don't understand the world. It's like it's that two Americas thing where it's like there's a whole like I'm always brought back to who's the guy who created The Wire. I think Dave Simon is his name.
Yeah, David
David
Simon.
Simon. Like he had a quote that was like one of those like, oh yeah, where he said someone's watching all that fucking American Idol shit, and I'm like, yeah, he's kind of right. I mean, someone's watching it, and it's just like I just don't know where these people are coming from. Because it's just not a world I've ever seen of people like get the politics out of whatever. Like even when I was against certain politics in comics, which like when I was an annoying teenager, it was more just I didn't like at least I understood I didn't like the politics themselves. Like it wasn't like I was against the very idea of politics. Because I mean even as a kid on some level I understood that work is political. Whatever.
Well, it's kind of
Hmm.
like when I first saw Elysium, and I was like,
That's
the
the least of that
politics.
film's problems.
No, yeah, like the politics are heavy-handed, and it's just like
Mm.
shit. I just want to watch a movie, and it's like,
It's just a mess, but like the message is fine.
yeah, no, no, no. That movie's like a mess, but
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, Blumkamp he's a very political filmmaker at the end of the day. And it's politics I tend to agree with. I just don't tend to like the film. Goddamn, I fucking did I took a science fiction class in high school, and we watched District 9 in the class. Uh, it
oh, that
does,
sounds kind
but
of
the
fun.
teacher, I don't know maybe the teacher like enjoyed like torturing the class or something. This woman, I don't remember her name, she was kind of a jerk. But uh, the volume was so loud. Like, it was louder than being in the movie theater watching it. And it was like when that movie like gets to like the end where it's just like violence. I just remember like I've never been able to revisit like District 9 because of it. It was like such an intense experience. And I also watched it. It's also interesting when like the vibe of the room is very different because I'm watching with people who have not been exposed to that kind of violence.
And then, like a man just like
Yeah,
explodes.
like everyone's exploding. The guy, like the one dude, like our protagonist's body is like going all Cronenberg, and it's like it's just a fucking. It was I don't know what the science behind vibes, but there's something to it because there was a weird vibe watching that movie, and it's not the first time I've had that with a group. You know, we did also watch Psycho in a film studies class, and because of how it worked, we stopped it before anything really happened. Um, for a break, and some kid was like, "I don't get it. What's so scary?" And that guy sticks out in my brain to this day. Yeah,
Can't imagine why.
not in like an angry way. It's just like, you've made it through life without hearing about Psycho. I did watch Psycho with someone who had never seen it, like never knew, like didn't know.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, I yearn for an experience like that.
They weren't scared, but they were like, "Whoa, really?" They did get scared. They did get scared by the staircase scene, which is a genuinely frightening moment.
Which they would repeat in two of the sequels.
Yep, Martin Balsam. That's a great movie.
I watched the sequels recently.
Oh, really?
Not four yet.
You don't need to
Then
see four.
I don't.
Eh, it's like everyone's kind of phoning it in on that
Oh,
one.
that's too bad.
But hey, you know what? There's more to it than people give credit for.
Mick Garris, ladies and gentlemen.
Mick Garris, who did the Stand series, miniseries, I believe.
How was that?
It's fine. It's not the book, but it's fine. You can't do that book though, because it's like fucking every Stephen King book has the worst ending imaginable. That's why like you had to change The Shining because like it just doesn't work. But anyway, that's Halloween 4.
Yeah.
Um, I guess we should just fuck it. Let's just talk about
Oh,
the
thank
ending
God.
and then end this.
Yeah.
Um, the
Oh, and then I have one more thing after that.
Okay, no. Is it something not related to the ending?
It's related to the whole movie. It's just I want to know like who could have done like at least like a visually inventive job with this, because like Psycho 2 is generally like pretty good. Psycho 3 is not great, but like the direction is like insane
Yeah,
and kind of fun. And so like if someone like Anthony Perkins came in and like directed Halloween 4, like it would have been crazy.
that'd be amazing. That Anthony Perkins, I would have liked that, but that didn't happen.
Like, no. Filmmaking is like the worst it's been up to this point.
It's just very by the book. It's again, it's Halloween minus any attempt at suspense. That's the weird thing. It's not even that it's shot badly. It's just there's no attempt to make it more. You know, and that's probably because they had fucking no time and no money to make this. And you probably had Donald Pleasance for like 3 days again.
Aww. Through all these, he remains very good.
Yes, even though he just
He is just a quality actor.
keeps getting more and more insane. And I don't know if the franchise realizes like how crazy he's gotten. Like I never know where the films actually fall like on how they view Loomis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at some point it becomes very obvious that he's more of a problem than a help. And I think that might be because the ending of this movie broke his brain, which is at the end of the movie, Michael Myers gets shotgunned to death and falls down a mine shaft. Which is an interesting way to like. It's very much a death that isn't like he didn't really die. But before he is shotgunned to death, he has a moment with Jamie Lloyd, his new target. And she gets away and they bring her home and everything seems all right. But then something strange happens. We see the point of view of some unknown killer, and this killer kills Jamie's foster mother in the bathtub. And it's revealed that it was Jamie herself, and she's in the clown mask, and Michael Myers' evil has passed on to Jamie. And the movie ends with Dr. Loomis about to shoot a child
It's
before
amazing.
he is stopped, and him just screaming "No!" over and over again, as this girl holds a bloody pair of scissors. Fucking cut to black. The end.
I want to have been in the audience seeing that on opening night.
It's a great ending. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's the elevation that this movie desperately needed the whole runtime.
Oh fuck yeah. It would be a shame if that was never
It's a
capitalized
shame that they
on.
really have no fucking idea what to do next.
That would be a huge bummer, because this revitalizes the franchise.
Yeah, it's a huge hit.
Yeah, because how do you deal? You get to see how Loomis would handle the situation again.
Yeah.
Like when he's truly in no capacity to to deal with this again. We're gonna see the rise of evil in a
Yes.
child.
So you know what would be a good thing to do right now? Rush a sequel into production, and it has to be out by next year. Do we have a script? Oh, fuck no.
Oh, God!
Who's gonna be next?
Halloween 4. The Return of Michael Myers.
Maybe nobody knows how to stop him.
Matt, where can people find you?
I'm at Emperor OTN at twitter.com. And
You can find me at DEWGO Waffles, twitter.com, Waffle Press, links in the description, SoundCloud, YouTube. Like, if you liked it more than Halloween 4, this movie was kind of exhausting. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We've been professionally unprofessional.
I'm not sure if exhausting is the right word. This trying to find something to talk about was exhausting.